The Stanford Axe has symbolized victory in the rivalry between Stanford's Cardinal and the Cal Golden Bears since 1933. Houses divide and neighbors become enemies for one day every year. Today is that day. Cal versus Stanford, known simply as the Big Game. The college football day began in Houston with game day. We close it out with the Stanford Axe on the line in Stanford, California. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels from rainy Stanford, California. It is the 114th Big Game. All the way back to 1892 when they played in San Francisco and Herbert Hoover was counting tickets. California has won 7 of the last 9 meetings, including the last time the game was played here in Stanford in 2009, an upset win. And welcome to the Big Game. Stanford, California. Carter Blackburn with Brock Heward, former all-Pac-10 quarterback at Washington. Shelley Smith will join us in a moment from the sidelines. And Brock, the last time we saw this Stanford team, there was talk of national championship. There was talk of how high would they climb in the BCS. Well, that went away with the loss to Oregon. They're now number 9 next to their name. Still a lot of things ahead for this Stanford team, but they quickly have to move on.
They sure do. They can still get to those 12 wins. Andrew Luck can still win a Heisman, but they must avoid the mistakes they made a week ago on this field to the Oregon Ducks, and it was uncharacteristic. It was interceptions from their phenom quarterback. There were miscues and inaccuracy in the passing game, plays you have to make against good opponents, and the explosive plays really did Stanford in. And Cal's hungry for success. They have playmakers. Stanford must be much sharper this evening.
Everyone on the Stanford staff said it begins with Andrew Luck, his leadership this week. But for Luck, it took a little bit longer. We joke about the 6-hour rule after games. You have 6 hours to celebrate the win, also 6 hours to mull over, then flush it. Took a little longer than 6 hours after that loss.
Tonight, it's about the first 15 minutes. I really believe Stanford has to start fast, coming off an enormous loss like that, and against a Cal team that if you let them hang around has the athleticism to hurt you, this first quarter will be critical.
It is the Big Game, and if you're wondering how long until we show you the play, you don't have to wait long.
Harmon will probably try to swim it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rogers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end of the Bears. The Bears have won. The Bears have won.
Well, if we have a play, a call half as good as that one, it'll be a great night. There is Joe Starkey on the call tonight for the 114th Big Game. Rod Gilmore, our own Rod Gilmore, was on that team, the Stanford team, protesting that a knee was down. It is still an item of protest between Cal and Stanford. It is indeed the Big Game. Cal trying to get a big win at the end of their season. For more on the Bears, let's check in with Shelley Smith.
After Cal lost to UCLA on October 29th, players and coaches held a meeting to clear the air, and they vowed right then to work harder, get better, and turn things around. Well, they've won 2 in a row, and a win tonight against their arch rival would go a long way to sending Jeff Tedford and the Bears down what is being called the path to forgiveness after a less than expected season.
Missed out on a bowl game a year ago, bowl eligible this year. A lot on the line when you think about bowl projections and BCS and maybe even Rose, but the Stanford Axe is what's on the line in the Big Game between these Bay Area rivals.
And wasn't it fun to talk to David Shaw yesterday, a former receiver here at Stanford, remembers all of those games. College football players, these rivalry games stick with you for the rest of your life.
For the 114th time, the Big Game. Mike Manuel takes it from the 5. Manuel ridden out near the 27. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players when Cal has the football.
Starts in the backfield. E.C. Sofele, the running back, career days the last 2 weeks. Tough, even plays tougher, never missing a game in his 3 years. Watch out for 21 Keenan Allen tonight. The sophomore wideout, fantastic size, even better body control. A threat every time the ball is in his hands. Chase Thomas, outside linebacker for Stanford, really sets the edge in the run game and the best pass rusher the Cardinal have.
So under center, the junior from Greensboro, North Carolina, Zach Maynard. Play action on first down. Maynard heaving long and caught inside the 30-yard line. First play from scrimmage, it's Keenan Allen, Maynard's half-brother, with a 42-yard gain. What a way to get it started for the Bears.
You see immediately why he's our impact player. He's 6'3", he's physical, he's strong. The two are armed, fighting all the way down the field. May have gotten away with a little push in the back. Hey, it is a rivalry game after all. Nope. In fact, just a stumble job there by Batamosi. A big play, exactly what Cal wants to begin this game and exactly what Stanford needs to avoid defensively.
Fumble by Sofele all the way back to near the 40. Stanford has the football. First 2 plays from scrimmage, a 42-yard pickup, and then a fumble by Cal. Gardner recovers it, and we are underway in the big game.
You see quarterback and running back too close to each other. No pitch relationship. That ball gets right on top of Sofele. It almost was as if Sofele thought that was going to be a handoff, miscommunication on a play that you have scripted and prepared for all week. That can't happen. So
instead of Cal points on the board, it's Andrew Luck in the Stanford Cardinal offense getting the football from the 37. Luck to Ty Montgomery, the true freshman from Dallas, breaks the first tackle and gets to the 50. Our Chick-fil-A impact players in a moment. Our first flag of the night. Not even a minute in.
40-yard pass, a fumble, and a penalty.
Dead ball foul. Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 11 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's going to be strong safety Sean Catus just continuing to ride Montgomery out of bounds. It's a tough call for those defenders. Oftentimes they get engaged in the field of play. That momentum carries them out. Jeff Tedford knows coming into Stanford tonight, he needs to get ahead. He can't afford self-inflicted errors.
Big formation for Stanford on 1st and 10. Play action. Luck on a boot, tossing to Toilolo. It's incomplete on a sure touchdown. Luck to Levine Toilolo. If he was 6'10", he would have caught it.
6'8", tight end, a wonderful job. I love the call and play action pass early. That's the confusion that all of that power game creates for defenses. That's Toilolo at 6'8", and a throw that Andrew has just got to give him a chance. Just give him a chance, put some air on it, and he's walking into the end zone.
So the first missed opportunity for Stanford, and the first missed pass from Andrew Luck. Reverse, Montgomery again. Ty Montgomery goes sprinting inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Cardinal. 34-yard touchdown run for Ty Montgomery.
In an emotional game, as all rivalry games are, look at the fast flow of the Cal Golden Bears. Those defenders flying up to make an impact, flying up to make a tackle. Pep Hamilton, offensive coordinator, and David Shaw, perfect unison there, taking advantage of the over-aggressiveness of Cal.
Williamson gets the PAT. He will kick tonight for Stanford. So one play in, it looked like Cal was headed to the end zone. But Stanford takes the Cal turnover, turns it into 7. Well, Stanford came into the night rooting for the team who beat them a week ago, the Oregon Ducks, because if Oregon was able to creep into that national championship, then the second place team from the Pac-12 you would think would be Rose Bowl. But USC is throwing another wrench into the BCS plans.
Into what has become just a wild weekend, really beginning last night. And for Stanford to have Ty Montgomery be a game breaker, so critical, trying to replace Chris Owusu, out with the concussion once again, the true freshman showing up early.
Ben Ryan's kickoff handed by Mike Manuel. Brought down at the 25, where Cal will get the football. So the last time, the only time that Cal had the football, 42-yard completion on the first play from scrimmage, Maynard to Allen. And then the second play, a fumble by Sofele, but looked like Maynard may have misread the play. That is Will Kapp, who was down on this play. Will Kapp, the senior from Los Gatos, California, who's the son of the Hall of Fame Cal coach Joe Kapp.
And that's Max Bergen just flying into the back of the legs. Good to see Kapp up. And Cal needs him. Cal's really been a totally different team the last couple weeks, finding their identity in the run game through the first 8 weeks of this season. Just about 50-50 run and pass. And over the last 2 weeks, 77% run against Oregon State and Washington State. And Will Kapp, a big part of that in their two-back run game, playing fullback, getting downhill. Jeff Tedford knows that's a significant loss if Kapp can't come back into play tonight.
Jeff Tedford, who guided Cal to 7 straight bowl games from 2003 to 2009, won 5 of those bowl games. Then losing season a year ago, 6 wins. That means they're bowl eligible. But a 7th win over Stanford, be the 3rd straight win for this Cal team, would be by far the biggest. Maynard, the transfer from the University of Buffalo, under center for Cal. Sofele brought down for a loss. We check in with Reese.
All right, guys, Taco Bell studio update will start. Oklahoma and Baylor tied at 17. This is after the Bears were stuffed on a 4th down play. Blake Bell scores 24-17. Oklahoma has the lead. USC had just gone up 38-14 on another Matt Barkley touchdown pass. And the former USC commit DeAnthony Thomas fakes the handoff, and he's gone. He housed Oregon, went for 2, didn't get it. 38-20. That game's on ABC.
Top 10 teams in trouble, as they have been all weekend long in college football. It's 9th-ranked Stanford with an early 7-0 lead here in Stanford, California. Marvin Jones, the intended receiver there, goes out of bounds.
You're seeing very early if Stanford's going to go into those single safety looks to try to stop this run game. Sofele over 1,000 yards this year, as I just mentioned, really finding that run game identity. You get those one-on-one situations with your big receivers. They hit it early with Allen. Maynard's got to keep that ball in play, allow the 6'3" Marvin Jones to go up and make a play on the ball.
Cal faces 3rd down for the first time tonight with 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 11. Allen's lined up in the slot. Maynard looks that way again to Keenan Allen to convert on 3rd down and 11. Allen, who is 8th in the nation, 2nd in the Pac-12 in receptions a game, averaging 110 receiving yards a game, 10th in the nation.
And this kid really shows up on film. Maynard could not throw that ball any better to his half-brother, 6'3", and the difference I see with Allen is that body control, understanding how to leverage and utilize that great size and strength he has.
5 wide receivers for Cal on 1st down, including Allen. Maynard on the screen, completes to Manuel. So, Brock, you said Cal affected these last couple of weeks, nearly 600 rushing yards last 2 weeks against Washington State and Oregon State, 2 teams who've been challenged to stop the run all year. But we've seen a lot more through the air from Cal in these first 2 drives.
Cal also watched the last couple weeks with Stanford in space, having a trouble defensively, tackling and speed and playmaking. Cal wants to get their playmakers in that open field and see if Stanford can tighten it up defensively.
Stanford does have Delano Howe back at strong safety. The only with an injured hand and foot missed the Oregon game. So Fele right through the Stanford D, across the S at midfield to the 45 before Batamosi finally brings him down.
Yes, defensive coordinator Derek Mason very pointedly yesterday, the perception that Stanford's not fast enough, not athletic enough when you're facing good athletes in the open field. Missed tackles a week ago against Oregon, a number of those explosive plays, and Derek said, no, we're plenty fast enough. We just have to leverage the ball better and get more and more Stanford Cardinal helmets to the ball carrier.
So Fele stood up with no gain on first down. Looks like he lost a yard. So a Cal team who's averaging now on the year 167 rush yards a game, but nearly 600 those last 2 weeks against Washington State and Oregon State.
Offensive coordinator Jim Michalczyk loves that. Offensive line guy Jeff Tedford as well. 8 of the top 10 rushers, single-season rushers in Cal history have come under Jeff Tedford's watch. He's known for quarterback play. He likes to run the ball as well.
Maynard throwing again, finding Allen again. This one high, no chance for Allen to run after the catch. So back to third down. It'll be third down and about 7 yards for Cal. Allen already 3 catches, 58 yards. Cal is converted on third down and 11 at the beginning of this drive. Second Cal possession of the game. First one ended in a fumble. Stanford turned into a touchdown. Heavy pressure. Maynard completes. It's Allen again to the 25. Finding Keenan Allen, who beats Michael Thomas for the grab and a Cal first down.
With a quarterback that's been inconsistent up and down this season for first-year starter Zach Maynard, Stanford wants to come out and force the issue. They press, they play man, they bring the pressure off the edge, and Maynard's calm and cool and collected on these 2 third downs. When you've got a target like Allen that shows you those numbers and gives you some speed and separation, those third downs are easier to complete.
Cal has 83 yards of total offense, 74 to Keenan Allen. This is C.J. Anderson. Manages to pick up a couple on the edge, the junior from Vallejo, California.
And keep an eye on number 3, Michael Thomas right there. You see the grass stains already on the pants. He's a guy that Derek Mason's demanding more from. Without Shane Scove, lost earlier this season to a significant knee injury, Michael Thomas has to step up, be accountable, and make those plays in the open field. In fact, it was Allen just beating him on that third down in man coverage. Derek Mason, very open, very honest. I said, well, how does Howell and Thomas and your seniors take that criticism? He said, they know when they walk in that door, we're going to be blatant and honest with them.
Flag before second down on the 10th play of the drive for Cal.
False start. Offensive line. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's a problem. It's not one guy when the referee has to say entire offensive line.
Brock, I don't know if you've noticed this. I like to write down memorable quotes. Here's one from Derek Mason. Everybody in the boat, grab an oar and row. That's pretty good coach quote, I think.
That's that team concept, that team mentality that Stanford has to play with defensively, minus a couple of their real playmakers on that side of the ball.
Maynard to the air again, incomplete, intended for Marvin Jones, and a flag comes out at the end. Batamosi and Jones get tangled up. That's the senior from Fontana, California, who's had a terrific Cal career. Part of the team in 2009 that came to Stanford and beat a ranked Stanford team. That was when Andrew Luck was the freshman quarterback, Toby Gerhardt in the backfield. Cal is leaning on that knowledge from its seniors today.
Shaw asking for the uncatchable ball.
Pass interference. Number 27 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Both of these wideouts for Cal, Allen and Jones, both 6'3" in size. They like to be physical. You've seen them already getting the hand fighting. Banamosi there locks onto the arm there. Just too much contact there in the open field.
I don't think Coach Shaw was going to win the argument that was not a catchable ball.
You better be careful with Maynard. He is streaky. When he gets into a rhythm, and he gets going, he gets into that groove, David Shaw knows this young quarterback can get hot.
From the 15. Sofele straight ahead. Slipping all the way to the 10 after contact. A tricky runner. Issei Sofele, 9th 1,000-yard rusher in the last 10 years for Cal, had 190 yards and a touchdown last week in the win over Oregon State.
You said you like to write down quotes. You know what I like to dig through, try to find some statistical trends. The one that just jumped off the page, when Sofele gets 18 carries a game, these Cal Golden Bears are 6-0.
5 so far. Sofele for the 6th time to make it 3rd down and about 3 in the first trip to the red zone inside Stanford's 20 for the Cal Golden Bears.
Shouldn't be any surprise tonight when you watch these two pro-style offenses. You don't see the up-tempo nature that so many teams in college football play. Cal, Stanford, number 1 and 2 in time of possession within the conference. It'll be imperative for Cal and for Jeff Tedford to keep Andrew Luck and that Stanford offense off the field as much as they can.
12th play of the drive. Keenan Allen lined up in the slot to the bottom of your screen. Instead, it's a handoff to Anderson, who goes nowhere. 4th down coming. Which means the kicking unit comes on for Cal. Giorgio Tavecchio, the senior, on the kick.
Great penetration there by Ben Gardner. Now 9 tackles for loss on the season. One of the best on the team. He has been so stout there as a redshirt sophomore.
25-yard attempt coming from Tavecchio. Cal is on the board. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinals get the football when we come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here.
Ike's Place on the Stanford campus in Stanford, California. Ike's just recent. That is Ike, by the way. Recently opened in San Francisco. It is already a phenomenon in the sandwich world in the Bay Area. And by the way, when you are on the Stanford campus, as we are now, you're in the municipality of Stanford, California. You hear a lot of people say Palo Alto, Brock. I know you're very educated in all of these matters.
And everyone listening across the country really appreciates that clarification, Carter. Thank you.
Fun fact number 1 of the night. Vecchio to kick off after his 25-yard field goal at the end of a 12-play drive for Cal. Montgomery from inside the 10. Montgomery to near the 30. We check in with former Bama basketball star Reese Davis.
You're not accurate in your reporting there. This is the Oklahoma-Baylor game, 2nd and 13. Robert Griffin, the 3rd, throws it into traffic and then into the open field to Kendall Wright. 87 yards, and the Bears pull even on the bizarre play with Oklahoma. Many seeing that game on ABC.
I'm in intramural basketball star in Tuscaloosa, Reese. Well, if the Bears can sick them against the Oklahoma Sooners, that means the Cowboys, the Ducks in big-time trouble, Oklahoma in trouble, Clemson already losing big today at NC State, and now 9th-ranked Stanford hoping to avoid that upset trouble as a top 10 team and the rivalry game against Cal. Andrew Luck and the Cardinal from the 35. Luck over the middle, pass incomplete to Whalen. We check out our Chick-fil-A impact players when Stanford has the ball.
Andrew Luck now 29-6 as a starter. The architectural design major can really reshape the Heisman conversation with a big game tonight. Stephon Taylor behind him, the model of consistency, not flashy, but very productive within this scheme. Watch middle linebacker Michael Kendrick, sideline to sideline, also has 11.5 sacks in his career.
So Andrew Luck only 1 for 3 for 14 yards to start the game for the Stanford Cardinal, the junior from Houston, Texas, Stratford High School. Luck airing it out on second down for Whalen. It's incomplete. Brock, you have noticed, especially early on, last few games, Luck not as sharp.
It really started against USC, and I think with the loss of Owusu, the loss of Zach Ertz, some new weapons out there. We saw it on the miss to Toilolo. That one he let rip a little bit better. That's a 45-yard throw that you'd like to see, a little bit more air, a little bit more touch. But yeah, over the last 3 weeks, the 70% passer that Luck has been this season has really dipped significantly.
So 2 incompletions makes it 3rd and 10. Heavy pressure picked up. Luck's pass is intercepted. Picked off by Williams inside the 20. Williams inside the 10. Williams stretching for the goal line. Touchdown Cal. But flag on the field.
There are 2 fouls on the play. During the interception return, illegal block in the back. This is a 10-yard penalty. We also have sideline interference on the Cal bench. This 5-yard penalty reinforces the delay of game. First down, Cal.
Talk to you about some of these new weapons that Andrew Luck is throwing to. Ty Montgomery, the true freshman outside. He's trying to run the comeback. Well, Steve Williams, this redshirt sophomore cornerback, he sees that route. Montgomery slips. Enormous play, and that's what they're calling the block in the back.
Is that a block in the back?
That's a difficult call. Tedford was in the ear of the officials earlier on the personal foul call on the boundary. I think many times those referees will see how that player falls, and with Luck falling forward there, that action may have dictated that call, but that's yet another there that I'm sure Jeff Tedford will have a conversation or two with the officials about.
Now, that's an interception, and that's Luck's 5th interception in the last 4 games. Ty Montgomery fell down on that play on a slick field here. Maynard on first down throws. Speaking of the slick field, Allen falls down. Big issue last week in the Oregon game. The slickness of this field, better condition tonight, but it's still slick.
And we were down there pregame. It had not rained really much of the day. The field in a much better condition than a week ago, where really Andrew Luck and his team dealt with so much rain, so much poor weather. But we've now seen a number of plays. Running backs, receivers slipping. To get your shoulder pads over your toes. Be under control on a slick field.
Maynard tossed to Sofello. With Schwartz blocking for him on the outside to make it 3rd down. Luck, prior to the USC game, had 3 interceptions on the season. Has thrown now 5 interceptions in the last 4 games.
Well, let's watch tonight with Andrew. As a quarterback, you try to anticipate. You want to throw that comeback on time. You want to throw it before the receiver gets out of his break, and I'm sure that's a discussion there with David Shaw. You got to have that level of trust. But when your receivers are falling, the balls are bouncing off their pads for an interception a week ago, sometimes that trust, especially with new targets, can break down.
Maynard to the end zone for Allen. It is caught. Touchdown, Cal. Allen hauls it in. Off the Andrew Luck interception, Maynard to Allen, and the Golden Bears have an early lead at 9th-ranked Stanford.
That's the matchup that Cal has got to take advantage of all night. Once again, you see the physical play of Allen getting away with just a little bit of push-off. That's a savvy player, understanding the body control, just the slight little push-off to gain the separation. 5'11", 6'3", Keenan Allen winning that battle.
PAT is good from DeVecchio. 10-7 lead for Cal on 9th-ranked Stanford. Andrew Luck, an interception with a little slip from Montgomery. Cal into the end zone. Another top 10 team in trouble. A whole lot to be sorted out on the BCS Countdown presented by Vizio. Sunday night, 8:15 Eastern. Reese in the game breaking down what the Oklahoma State loss to Iowa State means. Effect on the BCS, who's going to potentially play in the national championship. An interesting factor to think about whether the voters want to see the rematch between Alabama and LSU.
Oklahoma in trouble, Oregon in trouble, Clemson losing, Oklahoma State losing. All of those teams in trouble lose. You know what you're going to be looking at, 1, 2, and 3. LSU, Alabama, and Arkansas.
You feel for the OC State Broncos, who will be in prime position. That missed kick. Montgomery across the 20. Check in with Reese.
All right, guys, Sports Center right now presented by Discover Card. Let's not count Oregon out just yet. That kickoff return really gave them some momentum. Kenyon Barner going in. It's 38-27 in the fourth quarter. Georgia wins the SEC East. Didn't play great. They beat Kentucky 19-10. Sports Center's after the game college football final follows that.
Another top 10 potentially in trouble here as Cal's off to an early 10-7 lead on Stanford. Carter Blackburn, Brock Hewitt, Shelley Smith on the sideline. Andrew Luck, an interception. Last time Stanford had the football that turned into a Cal touchdown. Taylor straight ahead. Taylor had one man to beat or he would have been gone. Solid 8-yard gain. Surprised by that?
Absolutely. You're talking about the superhuman quarterback, the best in college football, and Maynard, who they've really taken the ball out of his hands the last 2 weeks, responding through the air.
Taylor stood up on second down and dropped. That's DJ Holt, the senior linebacker, to make it third down. In talking about the interceptions, last 5 now in the past 4 weeks for Andrew Luck, how much of that is no Chris Owusu out with multiple concussions, no Zach Ertz out with a leg injury?
It's contributed significantly. There's no doubt about it. And remember, Andrew Luck a year ago had a Ryan Whalen, had a Doug Baldwin, who's leading the Seahawks right now in receiving. So he's minus some of those key weapons. He's not going to make excuses. He's going to own it. And I love what David Shaw said this week. He really set the tempo, the sense of urgency of practice. Even though Montgomery, even on that interception, slips on the comeback, Andrew knows he's the veteran. It's still on me. But if you notice what David Shaw has done this drive, he's gotten back to his 6 linemen on those first 2 downs, trying to get back to that run game. He's got to be patient with that because that is still the identity of this offense.
Trevor Guyton, who has 4.5 sacks, helped to the Cal sideline. Third down and 3, 5 minutes to go in the first quarter in rainy Stanford, California. Luck completes to Whalen for a first down, who again slips near the 34. Speaking of, let's check in with Shelley.
Yes, this field down here is pretty chewed up. It is very slick. Both teams have brought 3 different sizes of cleats. I have yet to see them change cleats, but I imagine it's something they're going to be looking at. Before the game, I saw Pep Hamilton trying to figure out who was slipping, who was sliding, and which shoes they should start out with.
Brock, I'm sure you played on fields that are like this, less than stellar.
It's going to get worse throughout the night, too.
Luck on first down, screen to Ty Montgomery around the edge. Montgomery forced out at the 45.
You like to write down those quotes from coaches. Yesterday, when I asked David Shaw about Andrew Luck and some of the little issues and hiccups he's had the last 3 weeks, David made a really good point. He said he is like quarterbacks, all other quarterbacks that need to get into rhythm early. And against Oregon, they were missing on those third downs. They were out of sync. Let's watch and see what that third down conversion, that pass does for Andrew Luck in the rhythm and tempo of this offense.
Gaffney in a tailback for the Cardinal on first down. Fleener splits out wide. Luck heaving it long for Whalen, incomplete. Another long ball shot missed by Luck and the Cardinal.
Starting fast has been such a recipe for success for Stanford in this run under Andrew Luck over the last couple years. And look at the tale of really two parts of this season. The first 7 games, continued that dominant run, beating people by 25 plus, and really since that USC game, and over the last 4, either falling behind early or staying even. Pep Hamilton knows, that's Pep in the corner. He knows they have got to play ahead to really play to the strengths of their personnel.
Pep Hamilton said it was Andrew Luck came out ready to go, leading this team, trying to put that Oregon loss behind him. Luck completing there to Kobe Fleener, one of the multitude of talented tight ends Stanford boasts.
Just look at those last few plays tonight. Keep a close eye on Andrew Luck. The world's watching him, all the NFL teams, the people in NFL cities that want Andrew Luck there. Some of the fundamentals, the movement in the pocket, the not happy feet, that's so negative to say. But even on this drive, the previous drive, does he set his feet? Does he throw with that real confidence and conviction and urgency?
Luck pressured and sacked all the way back at the 30 by Michael Kendricks, the senior from Fresno. The Cal defense that comes at you from all angles.
And Kendricks is that impact player. 11.5 sacks in his career. He has a great sense of timing and feel. Lets the chaos go in front of him. And the right tackle there, Cameron Fleming, gets a little bit blind. Eyes inside, and there you see some of the bursting quickness. That's why he's been so productive.
Minus 14 on the sack. Backing David Green up for the punt. Jones fair catch inside the 20. An inauspicious start for Andrew Luck.
We've seen this over the last 4 weeks. That's tight. That ball flutters on Andrew Luck. He was aiming, as his coach said early last week, aiming some of those throws there. He tries to anticipate that comeback and get it out early, and his freshman receiver falls down. A lot of frustration here for Andrew Luck, really over the last, as I said, 3 weeks, beginning against Oregon State. A real humbling loss as a unit last week, and some misfires, some throws that he has hit over the last 3 years.
Cal leading by a field goal, gets it from inside the 20. So Fele, the junior running back from Salt Lake City, Cottonwood High School, averages over 100 rushing yards a game, which has been a pleasant surprise and boost for Cal.
We talked about some of that urgency, of Stanford in that group. Well, you see a lot of urgency from Cal as well. A couple wins in a row. They know the magnitude of this game. A lot of bowl officials from all the different bowls represented and tied into the conference. And Jeff Tedford knows for his young quarterback, a running back that's really finding his footing, this would be a major, major win for their program.
So Fele on second down moves the chains.
Take a look at Andrew Luck. That's on me. He's talking to his offensive line because Andrew knows he was part to blame there. I said, set your feet, stay in that pocket. And he drifted to the right, ran right into Michael Kendricks. A little bit of frustration. We read that quote early in the open, talking about how that Oregon game, it took more than 6 hours to get over that loss. And some real frustration here in the first quarter that's unfortunately looked a lot like the first quarter in the first half a week ago against Oregon.
The Stanford team that is not used to trailing at all. Trailed against USC, lost, won, came back in overtime. It was the Oregon game where they trailed and lost, and now down 3 early to Cal. There's a flag on this play.
I think that's going to be the big defensive end, Ben Gardner, trying to anticipate a little bit, get that jump, the penetration that Randy Hart demands from his defensive lineman. He's just a little bit too early.
Offside. Number 49 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. First down will be repeated.
As they step it off, we check in with Reese.
All right, guys, I'm going to show you what's going on. Oklahoma and Baylor. Baylor has never beaten Oklahoma. Robert Griffin III to Jordan Niver and the Bears in Floyd Casey Stadium, fourth quarter up by 7.
Can't exactly call that the I-35 rivalry then between Waco, Texas and Norman, Oklahoma. That would be a big one for the Bears, the good old Baylor line. Keenan Allen makes that grab, moving the chains. As the rain begins to really fall, how does that affect the football game?
It affects the field first and foremost. That's why it was such a mess a week ago. It had drenched all week, and as this is ongoing tonight, as these players and these offensive lines in particular start to chew up that field, and if this rain continues, it's going to be very problematic. It's going to slow down, I think, both teams up front.
Option. So Fella corrals this one and sprints ahead, diving across midfield. First down, Cal. 13-yard pickup.
And you're starting to see some of the diversity of scheme that Jeff Tedford and his staff throws at a defense. Stanford defensively very complex as anybody in the league. And Jeff Tedford, he can match wits with that complexity. We've seen option, we've seen bubble screens, we've seen wheel routes, shots down the field, and Cal being very effective in the first 15 minutes.
Oklahoma State has lost. Clemson has lost. Oregon's in trouble. Oklahoma's in trouble. And 9th-ranked Stanford trails at the end of 1. Andrew Luck, the architectural design major, traveling over the Bay Bridge. David Shaw told us when we went up to San Francisco for the big game luncheon this week. Andrew was breaking down the
pounds per square
points.
inch when you look at the engineering and you look at the curvature of that bridge. It's pretty impressive.
It was a pretty funny conversation we had with Coach Shaw, the first-year head coach at Stanford, 5th year with the Cardinal, offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh. But David Shaw saying Andrew absolutely hates talking about himself. You get him on one of those subjects like soccer, Houston Dynamo, huge game this week. As that pass is incomplete, intended for Marvin. Is it caught? Yes, it is. One official said incomplete. Line judge said complete. So Marvin Jones hauls it in, and Cal is threatening again.
And they're going to go up tempo, and I love it. You start to get into that red zone, and there you see the athleticism. I mean, that's height. That's 6'3", and a wonderful job by Jones to toe tap, and Cal trying to get this play off before the replay guys can take their looks.
But first,
officials timeout. The preceding play is under further review. The ruling on the field is in complete pass.
as in a complete pass.
You're taking a look at two really good weapons in Marvin Jones, senior. Keenan Allen, we've seen a number of plays, and I think I see some separation there, some green grass as he gets his right toe in bounds.
While controlling the football.
I think that's a completion. Both Allen and Jones, and you've seen this in the first 15 minutes, do such a wonderful job of going up and getting the ball. That's just a coaching point for any young receiver. You can gain separation. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be a 4.4 blazer. If you can go up and use your hands and length that you have, you make life awfully difficult on a defensive back.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Cal.
Meaning that the video evidence backed up the call on the field. 5 plays for Cal on this drive. 6 plays for Cal on this drive. 5 have gone for first downs. The Golden Bears moving it quickly through the Stanford defense. They gave up 53 to Oregon a week ago.
You can just feel the rhythm and the tempo and the confidence growing right now with Cal.
Straight ahead, Issei Sofele, flag on the play as Sofele picks up 9.
Holding, number 75 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, and first down will be repeated.
Brock, in your terrific University of Washington career, you of course had the Apple Cup against Washington State. You have the, would you say, and in Oregon, that's a rivalry game as well.
The Civil War, which we'll be calling next week.
But Washington, so what is it about a rivalry game? In this 114th big game, most certainly a rivalry game. Delano Howell's struggling again with injuries.
Well, it's the familiarity, I think, Carter, to answer your question. And it's the one wonderful thing about the Pac-12, especially when it was the Pac-10, you have such natural rivals, just geographically. You've got Tucson and Phoenix. You've got the Bay Area schools here. And even though the Cascades separate, it's a 5-hour drive between Pullman and Seattle. Next week we'll be at the Civil War, Corvallis and Eugene, less than an hour apart. So that proximity, you know one another, you're reading about each other all season long. And for Cal in particular, well, they've read a lot of press clippings about Andrew Luck. They know how wonderful he is. They've seen this run that Stanford's got on. They're just so close to it, and I think that adds to some of the emotion, the energy you always see played out in rivalry games.
Maynard from the shotgun, chased on 1st and 20. Maynard will throw downfield, complete. Near another first down. Maynard on the run finds C.J. Anderson. 20-yard pickup on 1st and 20.
And Zach Maynard right now is playing like the Heisman Trophy contender. He's playing like the all-world quarterback, playing with such anticipation and confidence and just feel. Just a wonderful job right before he's running out of bounds to keep those eyes downfield. That's a quarterback playing with supreme confidence to make that kind of throw and play.
There will be a measurement to see if this is a Cal first down or whether it's second and very short.
Jeff Tedford told us yesterday, week by week, his quarterback is growing, and even though a redshirt junior, and as he mentioned earlier, starts at Buffalo, he's still only got 10 starts in this system, and he's playing as good as I've seen him play all season long in this first half.
Measurement says it'll be second down and very short for Maynard, the native of Greensboro, North Carolina. Went to the University of Buffalo. When Turner Gill left from Buffalo to the University of Kansas, Maynard decided to transfer to Cal and brought his half-brother Keenan Allen with him. He was committed to Alabama and decided, I think I'll go play with Maynard out there at Cal. There are 5 Greensboro natives on the University of California football team. Second and short after it was 1st and 20 on the penalty. Anderson, the tailback, behind Zach Maynard. Maynard will keep it. May or may not have gotten the first down. Well, first down, Cal. Our Pac-12 update brought to you by Dr. Pepper 10 and some of the in-state trophy games.
And I'll agree. I think you said it earlier today. The Apple Cup, maybe not the most intimidating name of those 5.
What is?
I think this Stanford Axe in the history and the Civil War is we're going to see next week. It's what I love about college football. It's what sets it apart from the big boys at the next level is that familiarity, those relationships, those traditions that are born out in a game like tonight. 114th big game played between these two universities.
First charge timeout, California.
We will step aside. Cal in the red zone, leading Stanford by a field goal. The 114th big game between Cal and Stanford. It's the Golden Bears with an early lead on 9th-ranked Stanford. It is the big game which brings attention all over the world. Kyle Pujols and Chris Harper, Stanford alumni deployed in Afghanistan. Kyle was a wrestler at Stanford. Chris was a gymnast. He mailed this picture this week from Afghanistan with the simple message, beat Cal.
And thank you for your service.
Currently deployed with Regimental Combat Team 5 in southern Afghanistan. Toss, Jones, looks like he wants to throw it back to Maynard. Jones is now going to slip and be dropped at the 25 on first down. The first of the trick plays we expect to see throughout this game.
And talking to the Stanford coaches, some 30 gimmick plays they prepared for this week. Jeff Tedford has in his arsenal, and here you expect your senior Jones. It's a very simple concept. Either it's there or throw that ball away. The one thing you need to try to avoid on those gimmick plays are the negative yardage, because then that starts to give that defense some momentum.
Miles Mwaga-Tutia has the tackle for loss, -9. Maynard, pass is caught inside the 10. That's Marvin Jones. The pass was nearly deflected by Chase Thomas, but Maynard finds Jones. He is now 10 for 12 passing. That's a 19-yard pickup.
And you're going to see Stanford once again very aggressive, bringing the pressure off the edge. And anytime they've been in these man-to-man coverages, and that's the senior Corey Gatewood. He's played receiver this year, corner. Well, Cal and those big receivers just taking care of that man-to-man. They're winning that battle. Stanford's got to be careful to put those corners out on an island.
Look at the time of possession and even just plays. Cal has run twice as many plays on Stanford. First and goal. So Fele inside the 5.
I think we all really wondered coming down here, what would be the mindset of Stanford after such an emotional loss a week ago? How would they bounce back? How would they play? Would there be that energy? Would there be that passion that they brought? And I love the hit, and they need more of that from Delano Howell. But they had to start fast today. It was imperative for David Shaw to put that loss behind him. And they're 3 yards away from staring down another 10-point deficit early in the ballgame.
So Fele on second and goal. This will be the first third down that Cal has faced on this drive. They've been getting it done quickly.
From a psyche standpoint, if you're Cal, what an opportunity. You want to create that sense of doubt. You want to create some of that fear those guys felt. You want to create in this stadium oh, here we go again. Oh, our team isn't ready to play. This is huge right now to really set that tone and create some of those doubts in the Stanford team after a devastating loss just a week ago.
Play action. Maynard rolling, throwing, nearly picked. It's incomplete. Intended for Marvin Jones. Fourth down coming. Kicking unit on for Cal. A.J. Tarpley had his hands on it. Nearly had the interception in the end zone.
And that is a very dangerous pass, and one that Stanford makes earlier this season, frankly. Those are the plays they were making defensively to turn it around and take it 99 yards. And those are exactly the plays that Maynard made. 7 interceptions and 2 losses to USC and UCLA he has to avoid.
Essentially a PAT here for Tavecchio, but that's been trickier than the field goals have. He's missed 5 PATs, but this one counts for 3. Cal leading 9th-ranked Stanford 13-7.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by AT&T. Get it faster with 4G. Rethink possible.
White Plaza is at the center of campus and is the hub of student activity. It is bounded by the bookstore, the outdoor auditorium, and Old Union. It also features the Claw Fountain, which is one of the sites of the Stanford tradition called fountain hopping, where students run around campus and jump into the dozens of water fountains. Welcome to my university.
Leland Stanford Junior University. 1884, Leland Stanford, the governor of California, former governor at that time. His son, Leland Stanford Jr., passed away. Decided to turn his horse farm to a world-class university. Leland Stanford Junior University. Montgomery wrestled down near the 22 as we check in with Reese Davis.
All right, guys. It is happening in Waco. Baylor has never beaten Oklahoma. Terrence Ganaway through the Sooner defense to give them a 2-touchdown lead. 38-24 under 9 minutes to go. Oregon has come all the way back. Ducks about to line up to try to tie it with a field goal. This was after an unforced fumble by Mark Tyler of USC inside the Oregon 10.
Down to the wire in Eugene, the Oregon team who defeated Stanford a week ago. And I'm sure the celebration is underway in Waco, Texas. 8:27 left to go in that one. Anthony Wilkerson on first down for Stanford, shoved out as he crosses the 40. The sophomore home run threat in the rotation of backs for the Stanford Cardinal picks up 20.
Well, you wondered about Oklahoma and their mindset when they watched Oklahoma State lose, knowing that really hurt them as well. We're talking a bunch about David Shaw and the mindset of his team, and I love this. Come back to your power football, the identity of your group.
Andrew Luck handing off again on first down. It's Wilkerson. Kendricks there on the stop.
When times get tough, the best coaches that I've ever been around, when you're in losing and you're trying to overcome difficult circumstances, get back to what you know. Get back to those basics. We're comfortable. We have built this team on an identity of big physical offensive linemen, power run game. Over the last 3 years with Andrew Luck, the starting quarterback, those big guys, David DeCastro, Jonathan Martin, have run the ball 59% of the time. You got to stick to your identity.
Luck dropping on second down, completes to Ryan Hewitt, who takes a big hit in midfield from Trevor Guyton. He's the player who was helped off the field just 2 series ago, back in there for Cal.
There you see a little bit of the zone blitzing. We talked about the creativity of Stanford defensively. Clancy Pendergast, defensive coordinator at Cal, will throw as many looks at Andrew Luck as anyone that he has faced. 3-man front, 4-man front, fire zone, overloads. And that time you see the big DN drop out in the fire zone. Lay some wood.
Jumbo formation on third and very short. Jeremy Stewart appears to have the first down. He's the 5th-year senior from Baton Rouge. He's the short yardage back for Stanford. We'll see at least 4 tailbacks for the Stanford Cardinal.
Part of the reason you get back to that identity is it just calms everyone down. It creates that sense of belief that, yeah, we can do this. And I love it. Once again, you see the 6 linemen on the field, big, heavy package.
So back to play action on first down. Luck looking downfield and another missed deep ball. That one intended for Kobe Fleener on the play action first down. Luck took a hit as well.
That really was not a misfire. Cal played that really well. You know, defensively, when you get into that zone, the opponent crosses the 50. Look at the defensive group. Got a body on a body. There's really no room to throw that pass. A very veteran crew. 7 seniors start defensively for Cal. 2 juniors. Really experienced on that side of the ball.
High backfield. Play action again on second down. Luck on the roll. Luck's gonna tuck it, scramble, short of a first down. Third down coming. In the 114th big game between these Bay Area rivals, Stanford and Cal. 2 years ago, Cal came to Stanford and beat a ranked Cardinal team. There's a number 9 next to Stanford's name, but it's Cal with a 6-point edge nearing the midway point of the second quarter. Taylor straight ahead has the first down, moving the chains from the 35. With only 3 points separating Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. Smoke. It's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series finale. Ford 400 Homestead Miami Sunday on ESPN. Our coverage starts at 2 Eastern. Last race in the chase for the Cup. Carl Edwards on the pole. Play action on first down. Out of the backfield, Ryan Hewitt. Moving the chains again when Stanford gets that power run game going. First down opens up a lot of opportunities.
That's exactly right. You just slow down the opponent. It's body blows. It's giving those linebackers and those safeties something different to look at down in and down out. And even though it looks simple and it looks like a big goal line package, there's a lot of adjustments that group has to make defensively, who they account for, and that ultimately any time you can run it, it sets up that play action pass.
Straight ahead, Tyler Gaffney. Gaffney rolling inside the 10. Gaffney to the 5.
You want to know how you deal with a nasty, wet field, a sloppy field? Don't dance. Just go north and south. Tyler Gaffney, a wonderful job there on the draw action. He's not dancing. There's no wiggle. He hits the hole. He hits it downhill, and he hits it with some fury.
Horizon red zone. Stanford tremendous once they get inside the 20. Points on every possession. Touchdowns nearly 80% of the time. Gaffney inside the 5. Gaffney into the end zone. Even at 13 with the PAT coming. Stanford says we don't want to join that list. Oklahoma State, Oregon, Oklahoma, Clemson.
That was a really big drive in a game that Cal has largely controlled through the first quarter and a half, reestablishing the line of scrimmage, reestablishing that power run game. That was a really enormous drive from a psyche standpoint for the Cardinal.
Jordan Williamson on for the PAT. 14-13 in the 114th big game. Like the Stanford fight song says, give a cheer for Stanford Red throughout the land. That is downtown San Francisco, home of the 49ers. We're just south of there in Stanford, California. But on Monday night, kickoff 8:30, Chiefs Patriots. Tyler Halco quarterbacking the Kansas City Chiefs. Tom Brady and the Patriots. A big win a week ago back at home after the win against the Jets here in Stanford, California in the South Bay. 14-13. Cardinal. The touchdown drive. Gaffney into the end zone to regain the lead. Against Manuel to the 25. Once again, here's Reese Davis.
Here is how USC and Oregon ended. Ducks trying to put it in overtime. Alejandro Maldonado. Muy malo. Wide left. And USC knocks off Oregon and almost certainly knocks the Ducks out of the national championship race. Signature win for Matt Barkley and for Lane Kiffin at USC.
Well, Oregon's national title chances going the way of the Boise State Broncos. Missed kick with an opportunity to keep those BCS championship hopes alive as Maynard goes scrambling for about 3. And speaking of the BCS, this week's standings brought to you by Vizio. As Brock crosses off the teams who were formerly national title contenders, and number 5 Oklahoma is getting very close down there on the Brazos at Floyd Casey Stadium. So, Brock, does that mean we're going to have the top 3 in the BCS, all from the Southeastern Conference?
Absolutely, sure looks that way. 2 of them playing next week. Arkansas heading down to LSU.
All in the same division in the SEC West. One of those teams will play Georgia in the SEC Championship after the Bulldogs clinch the SEC East today.
I don't think there is any question now. The best conference in America, the best division. I can't remember. I remember the Big 12 South a few years back where there were some top contending teams. But just a woeful Saturday for so many around college football. I really the last few weeks. With Stanford's loss a week ago, with Boise's loss a week ago, a lot of people going to be left wondering what if with all the upsets today.
Zach Maynard from the shotgun in rainy Stanford, California. Maynard's pass is caught right at the sticks where the forward progress was stopped. Apparently just shy of a first down. Spencer Hagan, the tight end, makes the grab. Time now for the showboating Aflac Duck. Big game has been decided on the final play 5 times. When was the last time the Stanford-Cal football game, the big game, came down to the last play?
There have just been some remarkable finishes between these two.
Timeout, Stanford. Step aside. The latest kickoff in the big game in history. On a rainy night in Stanford, California, Cal led this football game 13-7 before Stanford scored a touchdown on its last drive. And the Cardinal will get it right back if Anger punts it away. And he does. Good kick. Anger's a terrific punter. He fields that inside the 20. Well, if you're just joining us from that terrific game in Eugene between USC and Oregon, this is the big game. Cal and Stanford, 114th time back to 1892 when they played in San Francisco on Haight Street. And Herbert Hoover was counting tickets. It was a record-setting attendance day that first. There is the Stanford Axe, and it is guarded extremely tightly during big game week. It is the Stanford. It started with baseball, actually, even before it was awarded beginning in 1933 to the winner of the football big game. Carter Blackburn, Brock Heward, Shelley Smith. Stanford, California. Andrew Luck handing off to Stephon Taylor on first down. Taylor, who has gone over 1,000 rushing yards in this game. Junior from Mansfield, Texas.
In 113 years of football, and some of what Stanford employs offensively is very similar to what you saw in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. Big, heavy goal line package, a lot of power play. It's not complicated. As David Shaw said, we're a gap system. That means they like to block down, pull the guard around, lead with the fullback. Very physical, this Stanford group.
Give it to Taylor again for a Stanford first down. He was down. So Taylor, for the second time, going over 1,000 rushing yards. He did it last year, does it in his junior season, so joins a very small list of Stanford backs. They've gone over 1,000 rushing yards twice in their career. Nelson and the Heisman Trophy finalist from 2009, Toby Gerhart.
And with 25 touchdowns, is 4th on the all-time list, 6th all-time as a leading rusher. Will have a chance next year in a senior year with a new quarterback, I'm sure, to see plenty of carries as well.
Gerhardt's senior year, Cal came in here 2 years ago. Last trip to Stanford, beat a ranked Cardinal team. Trying to repeat the feat tonight. Block complete on first down. Kobe Fleener takes it to the S at the middle of the field.
And he's without Owusu, he's without Ertz. He has some new weapons around him, but Fleener is the security blanket. There's a lot of comfort between the two. That's well thrown right over the linebackers in front of the safeties. Missed some throws in that first quarter. That's the best throw yet from Andrew Luck. And there you see Chris Owusu, unfortunately, a number of concussions. Tough hit against Oregon State weeks ago that knocked him out of that Oregon game, and action tonight.
Play action again on first down. Luck's going to heave it long, intended for Montgomery. Flag on the play. Pass interference coming. That's Mark Anthony, the corner in coverage on Ty Montgomery.
Pass interference. Number 2 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the redshirt junior Anthony against the true freshman Montgomery, who's trying to fill those shoes of Owusu. There's no doubt about that. I don't know what Mark Anthony's complaining about. You can't grab and hold the receiver as he's working back to the football. That's an obvious 15-yarder.
Our eye on first down. Hewitt blocking for Stephon Taylor. Taylor all the way down to the 21. We showed you Chris Owusu with those multiple concussions. This is almost difficult to watch because the number of big blows this young man has taken. This is all this year. That's in back-to-back weeks, USC, and then this hit in the Oregon State game. So Chris Owusu is out indefinitely. He is a senior, unfortunately, because of the multiple concussions. That is most likely the end of his football career. And no doubt the Stanford offense misses the deep play threat from Chris Owusu and the tight end Zach Ertz, who is out with a leg injury.
A wildcat here from Stanford.
Gaffney direct snap. Got maybe a yard.
And this is a really big drive now for Cal defensively. You have held your own in moments. You have been very stout up front. You're coming into this big game, a lot of the emotion. You know what you're facing in Stanford after their tough loss a week ago. Really imperative before you go into halftime. Coaches will always tell you that in there you can see a good shot of Clancy Pendergast, and defensive coaches will tell you that energy and emotion you take coming into half and then coming out of halftime can be so critical. A chance here for the Golden Bears to hold Stanford to a field goal, which would be a real win in this situation.
Heavy pressure coming on second down. Luck rolls away, completes to Lolo at the 15 to make it 3rd down and 4. Michael Kendricks with an excellent tackle on Levine Toilolo.
See a little more conviction here with Andrew Luck. Another very tight window, 6'8" target. Throw it down and away, give him a chance. Set yourself up for a much more manageable 3rd and 4 situation where running and throwing are available.
All 3 of those conversions for Stanford have been very short on 3rd down. Andrew Luck from the shotgun. To the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Montgomery. Steve Williams there in coverage to make it 4th down.
That's a really long throw all the way across the field, and one that Andrew's got to get up a little earlier. You see the double move. Montgomery gains some separation. That ball is underthrown. You'd also like to see the young receiver just work back towards that ball. If you're not going to get it, that DB will probably run right into you and through you to at least draw the penalty. But Andrew's got to get that ball up earlier into the back pylon.
Jordan Williamson, who has missed the last couple of weeks because of a nagging leg injury, on for the field goal. Redshirt freshman from Austin, Texas, misses for just the 2nd time this season. Stanford leads by a point, but a Williamson missed kick keeps this tight with less than a minute to go in the half.
And that looked like an overzealous kicker there that was just anxious to get to the ball. As you reference, he's been dealing with a muscle strain this first game back after missing a number of weeks. Just like those golfers know, so critical, the timing and tempo of your swing. He just got on top of that and yanked it.
Well, who knows if we're headed to the last play of this game. That would be fun. But we asked you earlier. Big game decided on the final play 5 times. Last time it occurred in 2000, an overtime game, 36-30, Stanford on Cal. So Fele dropped for a loss. We check in again with Reese.
All right, guys, coming up at halftime, the Ducks go down in dramatic fashion. You will not believe what's going on in Waco. Oklahoma, they think they have a touchdown. It's ruling on the field. Bob Stoops looks like he's going to go for 2 in the lead with less than a minute to go, and divisions clinched all across the country. So we thought nothing was going to happen today. Chaos reigns supreme. See you in a bit.
It is going to be a loaded Wendy's halftime report, keeping up with all of the upsets. Oklahoma State, that was last night. Oregon, Oklahoma, Clemson, Florida State. Ninth-ranked Stanford in trouble in their rivalry game, the big game. 1-point edge on Cal. With third down coming. Or halftime coming. 1-point lead at the half. Ninth-ranked Stanford, 14-13 after an Andrew Luck interception. A sack that he took on third down. Back to the ground game for the Cardinal. Touchdown drive capped off by Tyler Gaffney, and that is the difference at this point. 14-13. 114th big game.
And I think a very physical game, what you anticipated. Andrew has missed some throws, still trying to get comfortable after the first 30 minutes.
Shelly Smith with Cal head coach Jeff Tedford.
All right, Coach, what are you doing? How have you been able to control the time of possession?
Well, we've been able to convert some third downs, which is key because they're really good on third down. They leave the conference in that. So we just have to continue to do that, convert some third downs, be positive on early downs with runs, stay in manageable situations, not long yard situations.
Big stop this last drive. How do you turn that into momentum for you guys?
Well, coming out the second half, that's exactly it. You know, they're hard to stop. We got to stop the run. They're starting to pound us a little bit. We got to get in there, hold our gaps, tighten those running lanes, make some tackles.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
Stanford by 1 at the half on Cal in the big game. Now let's send you back to the studio. The Honorable Reese Davis for the Wendy's halftime report. On the wildest night of the college football season, one more good one involving a top 10 team. Ninth-ranked Stanford with a 1-point lead at the half on Cal. Carter Blackburn with Brock Hewitt, Shelly Smith on the sideline. Well, it is Stanford by 1. Stanford has the lead in this game, but it is without question not the sharpest Cardinal effort, including Andrew Luck.
Everything we thought we knew about college football, throw it out the window. And you thought tonight Andrew Luck would be spectacular, that he would bounce back, that he would be sharp. And he's just been a little bit off this first half. At times, anticipation. At times, accuracy. The rain and the wind certainly a factor, but you expect more from an Andrew Luck who watched Brandon Whedon throw 3 interceptions last night and knows if he plays well here down the stretch, he's the front runner for the Heisman Trophy.
Montgomery fields it from near the goal line. Montgomery to across the 30-yard line. We look back at that first half for Andrew Luck.
And this was an opening drive, and it doesn't get any easier than the 6'8 target Toilolo. He overthrows Whalen, he throws it into coverage to Fleener, and this is one of the last plays to go up 21-13. Got to throw it to the back pylon and anticipate, unfortunately, on one of the earlier throws where Andrew does get the ball out of his hand. His true freshman receiver falls down in the critical interception. You saw it through the first 30 minutes. There's no doubt about it. Zach Maynard cut the wind, was much more effective in the passing game than was Andrew Luck.
Stanford gets a football to begin the second half with a 1-point lead. Andrew Luck, the junior from Houston, Texas, Stratford High School. Flag on the play as Taylor gets to near the first down. But again, flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Number 64 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. First down will be repeated.
That's the redshirt junior Schwartzstein. You heard Jeff Tedford talk about going into halftime how David Shaw and that play sheet started to pound on Cal, started to establish more of that run, put together some good drives. Let's take a close look at what Clancy Pendergast, Jeff Tedford, their adjustments here in the second half. And you see right away, Stanford, like the first half, come out, run the power game, run the big heavy packages, do what we do well, try to get our Heisman quarterback into some rhythm and into a comfort zone he's not been in tonight.
Play action on 1st and 20. Luck rolling, comes back to complete to Hewitt. Short gain as we check in with Shelly.
David Shaw told me nothing, very little has gone right for the Cardinal. Drops, slips. you name it. He said nothing that we can't fix. We have to sustain drives. We have to get our defense on, be able to stop them, and then get Andrew Luck on the field. That's key. As for the field, he said it's slick, but it's slick for them too. We have to find a way to stay on our feet.
So you expect more then of the power run game because of the field conditions like
north and south. Yeah, and you see Luck fall. Toilolo, his number 2 in that progression, actually slipped and fell. He had nowhere to go, did Andrew Luck.
1 second on the play clock. Luck barely gets it off. Throwing the slant is caught. For Stanford, first down as Montgomery breaks tackles and gets across the 50. 19-yard pickup.
And that was a throw with some conviction, and you're going to see the Cal Golden Bears, the underneath coverage, run right smack into one another. They try to anticipate the route. The recognition is there. You saw Andrew throw that ball early, throw Montgomery open. Hard to do at times with a true freshman that we've already seen slip tonight. He's dropped some passes. Andrew's got to show a lot of confidence in these new young pieces around him.
Play action. Luck heaving downfield. Toilolo drops it at the 30. That is the second big miss to Toilolo. One was too tall, and that one a straight drop by the sophomore tight end.
Take a look at this, Carter. This is, you can do the math. This is every defender of the Cal Golden Bears, all 11 of them, within 6 yards of the line of scrimmage. And much like the first half, where Andrew Luck has Toilolo open, he overthrows it. These are veteran players. These are guys who have made these plays throughout the winning streak for Stanford. Exactly what David Shaw told Shelley out of halftime. We're just not executing the basics.
Good illustration by the way, Brad.
It's a fun little grab.
Luck throwing on second down to a dragging Whalen, who is brought down at the 45. Now, big game, the Stanford Axe, Rose Bowl potential. All that's on the line in this game, but Andrew Luck, Heisman Trophy. You said the Heisman quarterback is the presumptive favorite in the Heisman race. How much does that matter? How much does Andrew Luck's performance in the more interceptions in the past 3 weeks and he had thrown the entire year?
Points, sure, they're style points, and he's got to be effective. Most importantly, he's got to lead his team to a win here in the second half. Yeah, I think very clearly it's Trent Richardson and Andrew Luck's Heisman to lose.
On 3rd and 6, Luck rolling, throwing, caught near the 20-yard line. Fleener makes the grab. Cardinal moving through the air now. Luck much sharper to begin the second half.
Buying a little bit of time athletically. There you see a little better throw. Once again, that's not picture perfect. I was chatting with some of the Stanford personnel close to this program. How was the week of practice? And they said, yeah, Andrew's just not been as sharp as he was. 29 and 6, and I know it's nitpicking, and I know he does so many things wonderful, but that accuracy over the last few weeks has taken a dip. Even that throw he could still put out in front and let Fleener run.
Luck had 81 passing yards in the first half, 57 on this drive. Play action on first down now. Andrew Luck will tuck it and slide to the 15. Here comes a flag. And what looked like a late hit on the sliding quarterback, Andrew Luck. So David DeCastro over there to pick up his QB.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 91 of the defense, the distance to the goal, first down.
That's the redshirt sophomore DeAndre Coleman from Seattle, Washington. Jeff Tedford doesn't like it, but you go into a sliding quarterback with your forearm into his head, that's going to draw that penalty.
Making it first and goal, Stanford. Cardinal have scored points on every trip to the red zone. They try a trick play on first down. Inside give to the fullback Minkin for just a couple.
That is old school right there.
Yeah, what do you call that one, Brian?
It's a little minor fumble-rooski, I would say, back in the day. Lots of wrinkles you throw out in the big game.
Fumble-rooski-esque. from the Cardinal on 1st and goal, so now 2nd and goal, and back to the straight-ahead run game. Taylor going off tackle behind Cameron Fleming. 3rd down and goal.
This turns into a really big 3rd down to begin the second half. See the knee brace all out of whack. I'd like to see Andrew, frankly, scramble a little bit more. It's a strength of his that he's limited this season. Remember, Stanford missed that field goal going into halftime. Been so good scoring touchdowns down here. Important for Cal to find a way to force Stanford into another field goal attempt.
Leg lock at 10. Block, quick drop for Toilolo. It is caught for Stanford, touchdown. Toilolo, who had a huge drop earlier on the drive, hauls in a difficult touchdown grab. Stanford with a statement on the opening drive of the second half.
That play was right at the playbook of USC in overtime. Same concept. You get your big 6'8" tight end, Toilolo out there on a backup linebacker. Camporelli's filling in for an injured Wilkerson. That's advantage Stanford, and that was a wonderful job of Andrew Luck giving his receiver, and in that case a tight end, a chance to make a play for him.
Stanford scores on its first possession of the second half to put some distance against Cal, trying to stave off the upset talk to close out the day. Well, you probably know about the big game between Stanford and Cal. This is earlier this evening, the Big Splash water polo match. 2 of the top 4 teams in the country, and Cal with a huge win, 11-3. Our crew was so inspired by the Big Splash. There's Caesar. He has donned the Stanford water polo cap, looking very athletic. Caesar, and Jay is as well. Jay knows the importance of getting inside water when you're contesting the Big Splash. Well, the guys might need it tonight with the way the rain is coming down. It's turning into the Big Splash down there. The big slip and slide here in Stanford. And you will bust the 35 with a 40. Reese, give us a break.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little Sports Center right now presented by Discover Card. Oregon, number 4 in the country. They had a 37-yard field goal to force overtime against SC after coming back from a 24-point deficit. Couldn't hit it. SC knocks off the Ducks 38-35. Robert Griffin III, he is a big-time Heisman candidate now. 479 yards, including that winner with less than 30 seconds, 45-38. Baylor beats OU.
Celebrating at George's tonight in Waco. No doubt, first win over Oklahoma. Maynard on first down manages to get just a couple.
Well, look at this. Let me get out, since you liked my drawing earlier. How about this? Look at what happened in college football today. And you have Stanford in a dogfight right now.
So that means...
Have you ever seen a weekend like that?
Is there any doubt when the BCS standings, those brought to you by Vizio this week, when they come out tomorrow night, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, LSU, Alabama, and Arkansas?
I don't know how it can be any other way.
BCS standings, 8:15 Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN. Maynard on second down, throwing tipped and incomplete. That's Corey Gatewood who got a hand on it, forcing 3rd and 8 on the first Cal possession of the second half.
Really nice play. The receiver turned DB around and on the farm a long time. He's seen that concept. That's just a smash in front of you, corner route behind you, trying to get that corner into no man's land, and some of the length there of Gatewood. 6 foot tall with those long arms, knocking it away and forcing Cal here into a very critical 3rd and long to begin the second half.
Keep an eye on number 21 for Cal, Keenan Allen, who's lined up in the slot. On the bottom of your screen, low snap, Maynard corrals. Now Maynard is going to scramble and be sacked from behind. Ben Gardner, the junior from Wisconsin, got to Maynard forcing it 3 and out on the first Cal possession of the second half.
And a really high compliment did Derek Mason, defensive coordinator, give Ben Gardner. I said, who was it? Who were some of the guys that led this week, that tried to get that sour taste of Oregon out of everybody's mouths? And he pointed to Ben Gardner. We saw the tackle for loss earlier. There, the sack on Maynard, just a redshirt sophomore, assuming some of those leadership duties, and more importantly, not just vocally saying it, but getting it done on the field.
Terrell, fair catch, makes the grab at the 20. Touchdown pass last time Andrew Luck had the football. Will be Cardinal ball when we come back. 8 years after the famous big play in 1990, another thrilling end to the big game. Down by 1, less than a minute to left. Stanford recovers an onside kick. And this play, roughing the passer, keeps the game alive. John Belly flagged for that, so Stanford kicker John Hopkins has a 39-yard field goal to give Stanford the stunning come from behind 27-25 win in the big game, and that is what is on the line. The Stanford Axe. Stanford head coach David Shaw is in his first year as head coach at Stanford, but spent much of his life around this program. Matt Willie was a Stanford assistant coach. Luck on first down will take the sack. Second time he's been sacked. So David Shaw, father Willie, was a 33-year coaching veteran. Then David played for Denny Green and Bill Walsh, graduated from Stanford, been on the staff now 5 years. Said his favorite moment in the big game rivalry was that game when he wasn't even playing. It was his red shirt year. He said he was so exhausted from the emotion of that game, just standing and watching it on the sideline. Stanford alum, 1994 grad, got a sociology degree. And second down, this is Taylor, who was wrapped up for a loss, already the 3rd and long for the Cardinals.
Once again, we showed the play earlier with all those bodies, all those Cal Golden Bears around the line of scrimmage. They're daring Stanford. They're going to say, hey, we're going to load up this box. You're going to have to beat us outside. And those linebackers, very, very active. We've seen Holt and Kendricks tonight, top 2 leading tacklers. These are the situations they want to put Andrew Luck in, this young receiving core, in 3rd and extra long.
Longest 3rd down that Stanford has faced tonight. Luck on 3rd and 14, setting up the screen. Stephon Taylor goes sprinting ahead, knocked out of bounds at the 40, moving the chains on 3rd down and 14.
And that is a wonderful call from Pep Hamilton and David Shaw on the sidelines. What do you expect? What has Cal shown you in these 3rd down situations? Lots of pressures, the stunt, the blitz. You buy a little bit of time. That athletic offensive line gets out in front on 3rd and 14. You move the sticks with a screen pass. That's well designed and well executed.
Thought Jonathan Martin might have gotten away with a hold there, Brock. Tyler Gaffney in a tailback goes jumping over a Cal defender to get to the 50.
It's remarkable what those 3rd and long conversions, especially on a screen pass, can do. It can just take the wind right out of the sails of a defense and get you some bounce in your step to an offense. You did everything right on those early downs. You put Stanford in the situation you want them. You dial in the blitz. And boy, that can really build some confidence and mojo there for your offense. Let's see if Cal can respond defensively after the big giveaway.
Luck heaving long on 2nd and short. Torlolo holds it in inside the 20. Torlolo down at the 10-yard line. And if Andrew Luck was off in the first half, if the Stanford offense was off, it is back to being the Andrew Luck who could be holding the Heisman.
That's as good a throw as you're going to make. We've seen him overthrow those corner routes, underthrow. You're exactly right. And I'm sure at halftime there was a conversation between coach and quarterback. Just relax. Everyone was a little bit too tight in that first half, squeezing the ball too tight, drops, incompletions. There you see the difference in the second half, and that's what really good players do. They put past mistakes behind them, and they push forward.
Play action on first down. Wide open Ryan Huey into the end zone. Touchdown Stanford. A pair of touchdown passes from Andrew Luck as 9th-ranked Stanford taking command in the big game.
So dangerous in that play-action game with all of the different looks, all the little different wrinkles. If you stand flat-footed defensively, you lose contain, you lose leverage. Luck's going to make you pay now. Just one touchdown behind by the name of John Elway, all-time in the history of Stanford.
Pair of touchdown passes in the third quarter. Stanford has turned a potential upset into a 15-point lead. For just the second time, 3 of the top 5 losing in the same weekend. Oklahoma State, Oregon, Oklahoma all losing. Clemson rocked at NC State earlier today at Raleigh. Oof.
What a big win for Lane Kiffin. That's the first time, remember, that Oregon has lost since 2008 on their home turf. Boise did it back in 08. Lane Kiffin really establishing himself. Marquee win there for the men of Troy.
There's going to be a lot of leagues that are jumbled. Going to the end zone? Yes, it does. Touchback, it'll come out to the 20. So there's going to be a lot to sort through tomorrow night on BCS Countdown, presented by Vizio on ESPN, 8:15 Eastern Time. The top 3 teams in the country are going to be in the SEC West. So
1 and 3 are going to play down on the Bayou. That's going to be LSU hosting Arkansas. More than likely, Arkansas will be number 3. Oklahoma State out, Oklahoma out, Oregon out. All of those teams here so late in the season. As I said, going to be wondering what if. Boise a week ago, Stanford a week ago. Just incredible turnover there in the top 10 in the country.
Zach Maynard on first down, throwing. Caught by Marvin Jones. Another nice sideline grab by Marvin Jones, who now has 36 straight games with a catch. That one goes for 14.
It's an earlier catch, tiptoeing down the sidelines. That's a big 6'3" senior. That's well done. This is a huge drive for Cal. If they want to be one of those upsets that we saw around college football today, circle this drive with just 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Momentum squarely on the side of Stanford. Cal needs to respond and do it in a hurry.
Already down to 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter as Stanford has dominated the third. So Fele straight ahead, close to a first down. And will be second and very short from that mark. One of the questions answering on BCS Countdown now is how high does Stanford climb? That's potentially back to 5 with all the losses. Virginia Tech was ahead of Stanford.
Clemson was ahead, and now they're
Virginia
out.
Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech is now going to continue to bump up and move their way up as well.
So Fele to the 50, moving the chains. So, as Stanford said all week, Oregon loss, have to put it behind us because there's still a lot of big goals. I mean, it kind of helps, you think, for Stanford to have the big game, have Cal coming into their place to focus on rather than the loss?
Sure it does. And the fact that you can get to 10 wins and you can get to 12 wins and you can accomplish some great things as a senior class, and Andrew Luck can break records and win a Heisman. As we said in the open, there's still so much here for the Cardinal left to accomplish.
On first down from the 50, play action. Maynard tipped and incomplete. Allen had a couple hands on it. One of the rare times that he will get his hands on the football and not haul it in. But if this was a wild weekend, you also have in this league the Civil War next weekend in Eugene, Oregon State, Oregon, with the Beavers not going to a bowl, losing season, a chance to play spoiler Rose Bowl. I mean, it's almost all still there. And if you're at 5, who knows what's going to happen in the last couple weeks? So maybe, just maybe, the Cardinals still a shot at the BCS title. Big maybe. 3rd down coming. First, you have to close out Cal.
Stanford has gone to a lot of blitz on 3rd down, and Cal made them pay in man-to-man situations. This is a situation now on 3rd down where you'd like to keep things in front of you. I don't know if it's time to blitz once again. It looks like coverage here by the Cardinal.
But only one deep safety in Howell. Maynard complete, short of the 1st down. Miller is brought down as the Cardinal rally to the football. Michael Thomas leads the way.
And decision time, and the right decision here by Jeff Tedford. With as much ball possession as Stanford has had here over the last 20 minutes of game action, Jeff Tedford can feel what we feel up here, that Stanford has the upper hand. They've got the momentum. They're dictating some of that tempo. I like this call from Jeff Tedford.
Cal will go for it. The 23rd time this year that Cal has gone for it on 4th down, only 36% on those 4th down conversions. Maynard on the roll on 4th down. Zach Maynard will take the sack back at the 45. Cardinal football leading by 15. Lancaster gets the sack.
We really highlighted the screen pass, and I like the scheme and the execution. Well, this is well designed by Jeff Tedford, but this rain and these conditions, they bring the motion in, and they're just trying to run sprint left pass, and everything's there for you. Unfortunately, you slip, you fall, it breaks up the rhythm and timing of the play, and nowhere for Maynard to go.
As you said, Brock, with the rain falling, it is going to get even sloppier in the last quarter plus of this football game. Andrew Luck touchdown passes on the last 2 drives for the Stanford Cardinal. Handing off to Stephon Taylor. Wrapped up for a loss as we look at tonight's good hands play brought to you by Allstate. Levine Toilolo's had some drops, but he's also had some terrific grabs.
Big 6'8" tight end, showing why Jim Harbaugh a season ago was raving about the youngster, the speed to get down the field. And that was another well-designed concept to get your tight end out there in a mismatch with a backup linebacker. Leverage that size and strength and athleticism you have, and Andrew Luck's caught fire here in the 2nd half.
Toilolo not on the field right now for Stanford. Taylor across the 50. Toilolo not on the field. For more, we check in with Shelly Smith.
Yeah, Toilolo came off the field holding his arm. They have worked on his left shoulder. They have packed it with ice, and he is sitting on the bench now. His return is not known.
That's the veteran Chris Owusu, who has battled concussions, has unfortunately missed the last few weeks of this season. You're without Zach Ertz, one of your other tight ends, who's really hurt that 3 tight end package. And remember, once again, as you're looking ahead here with Owusu and Ertz, and now Toilolo with the shoulder packed in ice, you also have a really big game next week. If you're going to reach those goals, if you're going to get to 12 wins as you did a year ago, not only do you have to finish this one out over the final 16 minutes and 50 seconds, Notre Dame comes to town next weekend as well.
And Sean Cattouse, the safety, leaves the game for Cal for the time being. 3rd down and 8. Andrew Luck has room to run, but he's going to heave it and incomplete. Intended for Terrell. DJ Campbell, the free safety, knocks it away. Looked like Andrew Luck had the ability to maybe run for that 1st down.
Zone coverage there by Cal. They play that what's called Tampa 2, where they run the Mike linebacker out, try to get everybody in zones. And Andrew, smart, he realized it, trying to extend the play, distort that zone coverage. That's another big weapon for Andrew Lost, and once again, some more inexperience that's going to surround him on the field.
David Green hits the punt at the 40. Marvin Jones decides to field it at the 15, and he is dropped immediately by Ty Montgomery. Sunday NFL Countdown is coming your way in a matter of just a few hours. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, presented by IBM on ESPN. Jim Harbaugh's 49ers at home at the Stick versus the Cardinals, and some good NFL rivalries this week. Cowboys-Redskins, Giants-Eagles, turning into a budding rivalry between the Bengals and the Ravens. How about the job that Jim Harbaugh has done as the 49ers head coach?
Listen to the talk radio and here in town, the Bay Area, over the last few days. Remarkable what he did, building the identity of a very physical Stanford team, and he's doing exactly that in San Francisco.
David Shaw, was offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh.
I said to David yesterday, this is a big game for you, and I really liked what he said. He goes, absolutely it is. And he's enjoyed this week the number of people that have come, knocked on his office door, walked in with some counsel and some advice.
Including Tara Vanderveer, the great women's basketball coach here at Stanford. Number of the great coaches here on the Stanford campus. The Farm, as it's called. Excellence in athletics all over the place, but football excellence. The pass is incomplete, intended for Jones. That grabs a whole lot more attention from around the country. Great story in the New York Times by Pete Thamel recently, talking to Dr. Condoleezza Rice about how different the feeling is around Stanford with the football team excelling. And David Shaw said, at Stanford, the folks want us to win, but do it the right way with good kids. And that's exactly what Stanford has. The academic all-Pac-12 team released this week. Cal and Stanford up and down the list, including Andrew Luck. Zach Maynard on 3rd down and 11, scrambling straight ahead. Maynard gets a key block. Maynard dives forward for a Cal first down. Maynard makes it happen.
And boy, did Cal need that, and that young quarterback that unfortunately being in such good rhythm early has found a lot tougher go here over the last 2 quarters. Watch this big wideout outside. Marvin Jones, number 1, come into the picture. He sees Maynard scrambled. Does a nice job getting in the way of 2 defenders. Maynard can feel this game as well, knowing and sensing I've got to make a play. The sense of urgency growing in the young quarterback.
What should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Maynard, toss to Sofele, sprinting ahead for another Cal first down. Play was over before that football came out. And some good chatter as we head to the 4th. Stanford pulling away in the 3rd, but Cal driving to the 4th quarter in the 114th big game. That can go from like a frowny tree to a smiling tree. Don't have the whole time to give you the great story as to how Stanford ended up with the tree as the mascot. Right now it's a smiling tree because Stanford has taken what was a 1-point game at the half, trailed Cal in the 2nd quarter, now a 15-point lead. This was the last play of the 3rd quarter. Replay officials trying to determine if E.C. Sofele stepped out of bounds prior to the first down.
And then further, they're looking to see, was that ball coming out before Sofele had any contact with the ground, including his gluteus maximus. It looks like it's the first thing that touches.
So it's a potential break for Cal if Sofele actually was out of bounds. Potential. And would it be a Stanford fumble recovery by Delano Howell? So that's what the replay booth is looking at right now.
That ball looks like it is starting to come out before Sofele gets to the ground. Boy, what an enormous play that would be right now. Just as Maynard had made a play on 3rd down, starting to at least turn some of this momentum that has gone Stanford's way really over the last quarter and a half.
So eventually we will have a big call to begin the fourth quarter of the big game. If it is a fumble, looked like Mawagatu Tio was the one who knocked it out.
And put his helmet right on the ball.
It was determined that the Cal runner lost possession of the ball. It was recovered by a Stanford player. Thus it is their ball, first down at the 39-yard line.
Stanford football to begin the fourth with a 15-point edge.
And Jeff Tedford doesn't like it, but I think that's the right call. You see the helmet right on the football. That's the technique you're looking for. That ball jostled and out. And how about the extra effort? And no surprise, Delano Howe battling the calf injury, the hand injury, not quitting, playing to the end. Exactly what Derek Mason, his defensive coordinator, preached to the Stanford team this week. It's going to take a group effort, team football, everyone flying around. Well done there by Stanford to really now give your offense a wonderful opportunity to take advantage and take hold of this game as we begin the fourth quarter.
From the Cal 39, Andrew Luck, play action on first down. Looking downfield, looking to the end zone. Luck's pass is incomplete. Intended for Davis Dudchek, one of those tight ends who's into the game because the injury to Toilolo. Ertz out. We know Owusu's out.
There's a lot of NFL personnel here. Some of the top teams at the top of the draft order are here with some of their heavy hitters and representatives, and they've watched different Andrew Luck in the second half. That throw, once again, indicative of it. Very different than the motion in the first half and the hesitation and everything else. He is cutting it loose and letting it rip, even with backups in the game as Levine Toilolo sits on the bench.
Taylor straight ahead on second down. Said some of the NFL teams in attendance, Brock. Who have you noticed from being around?
Well, let's just say there's a number of representatives from the organization that's yet to find a way to win a game in the NFL this season, who's been used to winning, who's had a really good quarterback for a number of years. And a number of the Colts folks here getting an up-close look with their bye week at Andrew Luck, his practice week, his work week, and then tonight really putting together a much better second half for David Shaw than that first half effort.
Taylor on 3rd and 4 is stopped short, so this is 4th down and about 2 coming in what would be a 48-yard attempt in the rain.
This is a go for it. You don't kick a field goal. You've not made a field goal of 47 or 48 yards this year. It's a sloppy field. You've already missed one. There's no doubt about it in my mind. This is go territory. And a chance to really make a statement to Cal as this clock continues to tick down in the second half.
Stanford going for it on 4th and 2. Taylor slipping, not near enough. Cal football as the Golden Bears stop. Aaron Tapoti, the nose guard, is the one who blew up that play. Cal Golden Bear football. The Bears need to put it in the end zone. And they're going to come back in the big game. This is what makes a rivalry game a real rivalry game if there is a disputed score. 1982, the play. This was yesterday on the Stanford Axe. When Stanford has possession of it, it reflects 20-19. Stanford over Cal because Rod Gilmore and the Stanford Cardinal contend that a Cal runner was down on the play. So now it is updated 25-20. So Stanford has the Stanford Axe, and all year long it says 1982 Stanford won the game. And then when it comes finally to big game day, the official record is reflected on the Axe. in fact, a Cal win. Flag down on this play.
Holding. Number 6 is the defense. 10-yard penalty, and by rule, an automatic first down.
That's the backup corner, Terrence Brown.
He's at the top of the screen once again, matched up with these big receivers. It's actually the backup tight end, Spencer Hagan, outside. Just hands all over Spencer. Oof, that's a little ticky-tack. I think Terrence making his case there. That's a tough call.
First down, Cal. Golden Bears need a touchdown on this drive to make the fourth quarter a tight one in the 114th big game. So Fele breaks a tackle, so Fele across midfield into Stanford territory.
Well, Cal's defense has given this offense a little bit of life. After that turnover, they come out, they stop Stanford on the fourth down. Michael Kendricks has a beautiful play in the backfield. And now you're getting a chance, and I think Tedford's looking at that clock and saying there is still time to run the ball. This does not have to be pass, pass, pass. The strength of our team and how we've won games over the last few weeks is so Fele, our 1,000-yard rusher. There's still ample time to have balance within your offense.
15-point game, meaning pair of touchdowns, 2-point conversion at some point would tie it. That's a long way off. Maynard finds C.J. Anderson. Or is it a long way off? Anderson inside the 15, inside the 10. Anderson finally brought down at the 7. It will be first and goal for Cal. 40-yard pickup. And Keenan Allen very slow getting up after that play for Cal.
Zach Maynard here, you can see, can't you, the defense dropping out in the zone coverage just by a little bit of time and get the ball to your back. And now that's back-to-back plays where Stanford defensively looks like they did a week ago, missing many tackles in the open field.
Wildcat look from Cal.
Timeout, California.
Timeout, Cal. First and goal coming for Jeff Tedford's Golden Bears. So 15-point game now. Stanford and Cal. So the big game certainly yet to be determined, but we have discussed, Brock Heward, the Heisman Trophy and Andrew Luck's relative placement in that Heisman Trophy race. Reese made the great point. Robert Griffin certainly back in that contention now, but you are a Heisman Trophy voter in 2011. I'm sure you perceive what Andrew Luck has done without Ertz, without Toilolo for much of the year, part of the year, without Owusu. That certainly affected Andrew Luck's numbers.
Yeah, you got to take all of that, I think, into account. And the bottom line is winning. And Andrew Luck has been a winner here, the winningest quarterback in Stanford history, now 29-6, searching for his 30th win. And is it always pretty? And does he put up the gaudy numbers that many of his counterparts around the country do? No, they don't. But this second half, I think, really reflective of Andrew Luck, the player. Can put bad plays behind him, press ahead, and he doesn't always care what it looks like. He cares most importantly about finding ways to win. And in today's day and age, with that Heisman Trophy, how many times, year after year after year, do you see guys who are winners and whose teams find a way to win, ultimately take home the hard way?
And I think that's exactly what Andrew Luck would tell you about the Heisman. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't want to talk about it because he is truly a team player. Second and goal, back to the Wildcat. So Fele to about the 3 to make it third down and goal. In what would be 4-down territory.
I think it is 4-down territory at this juncture. It doesn't certainly have to be, but if I'm Jeff Tedford, I'm making sure I'm reminding my offensive staff, hey, give me 2 plays here to get it done, to gain these 2 yards in the fourth quarter that's been very problematic this season for Jeff Tedford's Bears. Those 20 points, as you see, fewest in all of college football in the fourth quarter.
Third down and goal, Maynard back under center. Play action, Maynard rolling. Zach Maynard tosses at the last second, touchdown, Cal. Hagan into the end zone. The college football day is not done.
That's a nifty little move, and I don't know if Maynard makes that play earlier this season, keeps the play alive. And now this is a situation where I'm kicking a PAT with 10 minutes to go, a couple timeouts. This is a call that I'm not comfortable with. I'm not going for 2 at this juncture of the game, but Jeff Tedford and his staff, well, they decide otherwise.
So at some point, Cal was going to need a 2-point conversion.
But don't go for it until you have to go for it, Carter.
First time in the end zone, 2-point conversion attempt coming. Maynard rolling, throwing, it is caught. 2-point conversion is good. Marvin Jones hauls it in. And with 10 minutes, 53 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, a 1-score game, and 9th-ranked Stanford is in a tight one just like the rest of the top 10 teams who have fallen this week in college football. So a Cal team who had 20 points in the fourth quarter in 10 previous games has 8 to make this a touchdown game.
And 8 crucial points as you're down here. And I think, and the replay officials are going to take a look at this, I think Marvin Jones does once again a wonderful job digging this ball out. 6'3", 200 pounds, senior receiver gets underneath that ball before it contacts the ground. And I thought a risky call, a gutsy call. Jeff Tedford knew something I didn't know up here in the booth, and that is that Zach Maynard is streaky, and roll him while he's hot, keep the ball in his hands. And he also has a lot of confidence in these big receivers outside.
This began with the Cal defense stopping Stanford on 4th down and 2 to give the offense a chance to go down the field and get in the end zone.
Day of college football, Carter, why not? Right, on a day where we saw 4 teams in the top 10 fall, 3 in the top 5 over the weekend with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Oregon. Well, why not make the big game interesting? After all, this is a big game that over 50 times in the series history has come down to 7 points or less.
Well, we didn't get an official call on that, but the 2-point conversion stands. And it's a 7-point game with 10:53 to go, which is a lot of time. Stanford 3 timeouts, Cal 2.
It looks like with Levine Toilolo on ice down on the bench. Now you're without Owusu, you're without Zach Ertz, you're without Levine Toilolo, who's really been your go-to guy in this second half. That's Levine with the hood on. Now you're going to see some backups to backups. Now you're going to see Montgomery, that true freshman, play such a big role here in a pivotal fourth quarter.
The injuries mounting for the Stanford Cardinals. This is Stewart who picks it up inside the 10. And Stewart to the 27. So Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal with now just a touchdown lead at 10:47. This was a 1-point game at the half. Cal led this game 13-7 in the second quarter. So Stanford has led since then. A touchdown run by Gaffney in the second quarter to give Stanford the lead. Build it up to 15, but in the big game, less than 11 minutes to go. 1-score football game. Carter Blackburn, Brock Hewitt, Shelley Smith on the sideline. Taylor on first down, drop for a loss.
And there is no doubt what you're going to see from the Cal Golden Bears here in the fourth quarter. You saw it on the 4th down play. These linebackers are going to be aggressive. That's Trevor Guyton, the defensive end, getting into the backfield. If Stanford's going to roll out all of that heavy package, well, you can count on Cal bringing lots of run blitzes, and Clancy Pendergast, a guy that likes to be aggressive in nature, they're going to force the issue, and they're going to make the Montgomerys and the Fleeners and some of the other players that have not seen as many touches, they're going to make the Waylands beat them outside, not that big heavy run game.
Pendergast, 6 years NFL defensive coordinator, including 2008 Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals. Timeout, Stanford.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here.
That's a Stanford Athletics Wall of Fame featuring John McEnroe, arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. Andrew Luck rolling, throwing, and complete. What a grab by Kobe Fleener.
And Kobe needs to step up. This has got to be a fourth quarter here for a senior, redshirt senior, and one of the remaining studs that Andrew has left. Toilolo's out, Ertz is out, Owusu is out. You can see how well Fleener runs. This has got to be a fourth quarter that he takes over, because I know Clancy Pendergast is going to do the best he can to take away the run. Just look at the bodies around the line of scrimmage. Fleener must step up in the final 10 minutes.
Taylor again on first down, minimal gain. 9:30 to go in the big game in Stanford. Cardinal by a touchdown, trying to avoid that list. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Oregon. Just the second time that 3 of the top 5 have lost on the same weekend. Levine Toilolo appears to be done for Stanford for the day. Chris Owusu unable to go because of multiple concussions. Zach Ertz out with a leg injury. Andrew Luck and the Cardinal trying to close out the night with a win over rival Cal. Luck finds Ryan Hewitt, who goes rolling near another first down. Cattouse makes the stop on Hewitt, who has a touchdown catch tonight.
Cal has tackled really well tonight. This is a very active crew. I think it's important to note that Cal's #1 in the conference defensively, and at times that's not been with a lot of offensive help. David Shaw knew this was going to be a difficult test tonight, a 4-quarter game. Cal has come to life here, playing with a lot of energy here in the fourth quarter, especially defensively.
On a sloppy field, rain started just prior to the 7:15 local time kickoff, the latest in big game history. Luck gives to Hewitt, who stretches for a Stanford first down at exactly the 50 in the middle of the S.
And the beauty of this game tonight, 114 times these two have tangled. And this looks like a lot of them from about the 1940s and 50s and 60s. Look at the uniforms. Look at the personnel packages. Once again, Stanford's going to come with 6 big offensive linemen. They want to play this game between the hashes. Just smash mouth football right at you.
Offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton says, no doubt about it, we are a power running team. We've talked about this before, Brock, about how people think in today's college football, if you have a star quarterback, you're a spread team, you're throw it all over the field. But Pep says, no, we are a power running team. That's the identity of Stanford. That's who they are.
We control the clock that way. It affords us some of those big play action pass opportunities. And now that you cross the midfield stripe, these are typically the downs and distances that those coaches like to take shots down the field.
Play action on second down. Out of the backfield, there's Hewitt again. Ryan Hewitt across the 40. Brock, you said it. Without those weapons, Owusu and Ertz and Toilolo, guys like Hewitt and Fleener would have to step up on this drive.
You have to manufacture schematically some open receivers, and Ryan Hewitt has done it through the run. That time, yet again, another unbalanced look. Everything looked like run left. You come back with the play action pass. Try to get that defense on its heels. If you don't have the personnel where you can just line up and run by people, well, you got to use a lot of these formations, a lot of these shifts, a lot of the personnel groups to attack a defense.
Taylor on first down.
And then you eventually hope that all of these body blows, all of these runs between the tackles as you're chewing up that turf and you're running in there, well, that just maybe one time they're a little off in their fit, that those linebackers don't come at you, that you get on them. And we've seen Gaffney already earlier tonight plant his foot in the ground, get north and south, try to hit those creases, much like the Oregon Ducks hit a week ago against Stanford. Some of those creases take advantage, because when you put that many bodies around the line of scrimmage as Cal's committing, just look at the number of guys within 5 yards, you hit that seam, and you go the distance.
Play action on second down. There's Stewart, same play out of the backfield, down the sideline to move the chains to near the 20, just short of the first, close. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the race to decide the Cup. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, just 3 points separating them. Coverage begins Sunday on ESPN 2 Eastern. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Ford 400, Homestead, Miami. So this is third down and very short for the Cardinal.
Watch the penetration. When Cal stopped Stanford, it was that penetration in that fourth down play.
Give it to Hewitt, straight ahead. And this time, Stanford able to convert on third and short. Last time down, Cal came up with a stop. Eventually on fourth down to set up the Cal touchdown to make this a one-score game. There's an injured Golden Bear. That's Ernest Owusu. No relation to the Stanford wide receiver Chris Owusu. Ernest down on the field.
And you notice one other thing that this drive is doing. Take a look at that clock. This drive started with just under 10 minutes left. Cal gets the score, the 2-point conversion. And you're just methodical. You're taking time off the clock. Number 1 in the conference in time of possession, number 1 in America last season. You're going to limit the possessions here. And this drive, decent balance, 6 rush, 4 pass, but more importantly, nearly 5 minutes off this clock.
Injuries starting to mount for Cal as well. That's Camporeale who walks off the field. Owusu, the Ernest Owusu, walks off the field for Cal. Wilkerson was already out, starting linebacker, out with a knee injury. Chris McCain, freshman starting linebacker, out with a concussion.
Well, welcome to football in late November, especially with a couple physical football teams.
Now Ryan, first down. Hewitt motions. Tyler Gaffney picks up maybe 2 on first down. Now, 5 minutes. Cal has 2 timeouts. I mean, do you think it's too early to start thinking about using timeouts?
Yeah, I think it's too early at this juncture, but it's not too early, I think, for David Shaw to start to figure out my field goal range. On a damp night, on a soggy field, with a kicker coming back after being off 3 weeks, Jordan Williamson, who's already missed 1 field goal tonight. This is not a time, I think, to get conservative in your play call and count on a 40-yard field goal.
Wilkerson split out wide. It's Gaffney lined up. And it's going to be a timeout, Stanford. Wildcat look there from Gaffney.
Stanford.
Second down for Stanford. 4:24 to go in a one-score game. The Stanford Axe is on the line. In this, the 114th big game between the Bay Area rivals, Cal and Stanford. 12th play of this drive for Stanford. Gaffney from the Wildcat. Gaffney with Hewitt leading the way, slips just inside the 20. And the slick field here in Stanford is a factor in the fourth.
You hear coaches always say, keep your shoulder pads over your toes. You don't want to lean back. You don't want to lean forward on a slick field like this. You really got to have great balance. Number of players on both sides with critical slippage issues.
Luck back under center on 3rd and 4. Play fake. Luck rolling with Hewitt blocking. Luck stretching. He did not appear to get to that first down stick. Marked about a yard short. Michael Kendricks there in pursuit, meaning 4th down coming for the Cardinal, and you have to factor in the kicking game, the field. Jordan Williamson missed a 33-yarder earlier.
How about the effort of the Golden Bears tonight? Defensively, been on the field an awful lot in this second half. Coach Shaw went for it on 4th and 1 earlier. If I'm coaching here in this group, and my field goal group has been so good, and he's thinking it over there with Brian Polian, his special teams coordinator, I think you've got to take the 3 here.
Third and final timeout.
Shaw will take a timeout. Will Stanford go for it or attempt a field goal on 4th down? Stanford will attempt a 35-yard field goal. Those are the flags at the top of the stadium, but in the bowl, no wind. Williamson missed from 33 earlier. A redshirt freshman from Austin to make this a 2-score game with 3:12 left. Good hold. Kick is go! Williamson's 35-yard field goal makes it a 10-point, 2-score game with 3 minutes, 7 seconds left. Difficult field goal operation all the way around on a slick field in the rain.
And you saw the conversation between Brian Polian, the special teams coordinator, and David Shaw, and I think it was a conversation of, hey, listen, this group's been pretty good. I know we missed earlier, but 15 of 17 collectively coming into tonight. You've got to trust your kicker at that point. Excellent operation with the snap and the hold. An awfully big kick in the big game with just 3 minutes to go.
An awfully big drive. 3 points on the board. 7 minutes, 41 seconds bled off the clock by Stanford after that Cal touchdown 2-point conversion made it a 7-point game. So back to a 2-score game after a 13-play, 7-minute, 41-second field goal drive.
And oh, by the way, all Andrew Luck is now is 20 of 30, 257 yards, uniform dirty, playing the game exactly the way that he would draw it up. The architectural design, all academic performer, 3.48 GPA, maybe not as pretty in that first half. The guy doesn't mind playing ugly, and you can hear him urging his teammates on to finish, win this big game, get the 10th win, keep themselves alive for a BCS Bowl.
Off from Ben Ryan, fielded inside the 10 by Manuel. So about the 27 in what's now a 2-score game. Well, it's headed towards Sunday, which means it's headed towards Monday and Monday Night Football. Chiefs, Patriots. Kickoff 8:30. Our coverage begins 7 o'clock with NFL Countdown served by Applebee's.
What has happened to those Jets out there in the AFC?
Patriots took command of the division with that road win last week, back at home in Foxborough this week for Monday Night Football. Zach Maynard, the junior quarterback from Greensboro, North Carolina, transferred from the University of Buffalo, playing in his first big game, led a touchdown drive last time. Miscommunication there nearly resulted in a pick, instead 2nd and 10.
This is where your sense of urgency, yes, you have a couple timeouts still left, but this has got to be a 2-minute drill. Unfortunately, Michael Calvin, the redshirt senior receiver, down on the ground for Cal.
Unfortunately, we have seen a lot of injuries in this football game. That's a guy, Michael Calvin, who has been injured throughout his Cal career. Got healthy towards the end of his senior year, was playing really good football. Caught a touchdown pass last week against Oregon State. That was his first career touchdown. He is a 5th-year senior. Last week got his first career touchdown.
Very unfortunate there on the bottom of the screen, away from all of the action. We have seen so much slipping here tonight, but that wasn't the case. He just comes up, unfortunately, after the play. And watch at the very bottom of the screen here.
That one is tough to figure out, and that is a real disappointment.
And there's just a shot of the field conditions, but as that replay showed, that was not the case. That was not what we have seen so often tonight, what we saw last week against Oregon, what more than likely you're going to see against Notre Dame next week here. A very wet, damp, windy night. And as you said, Carter, a very physical game, and that's what rivalry games are. You asked me earlier about rivalry games that I had played in and been a part of, and you watch and you do this job now. There's so much emotion involved, so much energy, so much passion to play, and often very, very physical affairs with a lot of guys, unfortunately, getting nicked up. So
Cal needing 2 scores. Michael Calvin, wide receiver, out. Will Cap, the fullback, out from early in the game. So both of these teams trying to move the football without some of their key weapons. That's Anthony Miller, the tight end, who was dropped by Michael Thomas, making it 3rd down as the clock rolls to 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Maynard finally gets the play call in. Maynard throwing on 3rd and 9. It is incomplete. Flag down. Flag on the play. Howell nearly had an interception.
I think that's going to be some contact. That was the back judge watching everything in front of him. I think the linebacker Tarpley on the play a little bit early, certainly not Howell, but some contact on the underneath tight end, Anthony Miller, going through the back.
Pass interference, number 17 of the defense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic, 1st down.
That's the big tight end, Anthony Miller. We've not called his name very often. He's the inside slot receiver. Just going to try to run as best he can on this sloppy field. An in cut, and Tarpley grabs a hold of him. That back judge could see it all happening there in front of him. And a really big penalty to keep some hope alive here for Cal.
Cal needs to score twice. 2 timeouts left.
This has got to be Keenan Allen time. My best player has got to touch the ball here in the final 2 minutes, early and often.
Maynard slips in the pocket, throws incomplete, was looking to the sideline for Anthony Miller.
We've seen both of these coaches tonight, both David Shaw and Pep Hamilton, Jeff Tedford and his offensive staff really be creative, get his guys in positions to have some success, be it on some screen calls, be it my big receivers outside, matching them up in one-on-one opportunities. I said earlier, number 21, Keenan Allen, he's my impact player. He's my big-time receiver. He's my playmaker. I'm going to try to find a way through formations and personnel to get him into a matchup where he can get the ball.
0 second-half catches for Keenan Allen. He's lined up in the slot. Maynard pressured again. Zach Maynard rolling away from the pressure, heaving downfield. It's incomplete, but there's another pass interference call against the Cardinal. Is this looking like big games of old that go down to the wire with flags flying in critical plays at the end of the 4th quarter?
Number 6 of the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
And Zach Maynard, the left-hander, running to his right, committing the cardinal sin you hear all the time of throwing back late across your body. But Delano Howell, the active safety, you just can't go through the defender. You got to try to manipulate your body, have the body control to get to the reception point or the interception point and not go through the receiver. That will draw a penalty on every occasion.
2:03 to go in the 114th big game. Cal needs 2 scores. Maynard again rolling away from pressure. Throws downfield, caught inside the 30. Booza makes the grab. Clock stops temporarily as the chains move.
Get your team up to the line of scrimmage. You want to play fast, but never in a panic.
Heavy pressure at the line of scrimmage shown by Stanford on first down. Maynard flings complete. Nice grab by Miller coming back to the football. Gets out of bounds. Clock will continue to roll though. Howell forces him out. Forward progress stopped at the 20. Cal does have 2 timeouts. And the Bears need 2 scores. So the clock a big factor now. Complete inside the 15. That'll be a first down. Clock stops temporarily again as the chains are moved. It's Booza again. Spike it here?
No, I don't think so. You just got to get up and get set now. 103 when they set the ball. You're going to have some urgency here in your operation.
Maynard pressured and sacked. Timeout Cal. Trent Murphy sacks Maynard. Timeout granted with 45 seconds left. 1 timeout remaining for Cal, none for Stanford. This is the stare down that occurs in the last 2 minutes of the big game. In the middle of that collection of students.
Pardon me, what are they doing?
Yeah, that's the stare down. Which I would not want to be in a stare down with you, Brock. I think
look at the intensity right here. Look at that.
Folks, that's what the big game is all about.
Are you looking away, staring down?
Yeah, if this is the stare down, it's time to stare down. So the Stanford Axe, 1933 is when it began going back and forth. You love that, don't you?
I just love the intensity, really, from both sides. That was fantastic.
47 seconds on the clock. 2 seconds were put back up there.
I'm smarter than you. No, I'm smarter than you. No, I can stare better than you. All I know right now is Cal has to score and score in a hurry. And you cannot, if you're playing quarterback, take sacks here.
Maynard flings it to the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Keenan Allen, who does not have a catch since the first quarter of this game.
You see a little bit of frustration there from Keenan. The body language saying, hey, half-brother, throw this to me a little bit earlier. You got to see that corner. See that corner jump up? You're just way too late as the field condenses down in the red zone.
That's a player who was 8th in the nation in receptions a game. Had 6 in the first quarter. None since. Only the second time he's been thrown to this half. 42 seconds left. Maynard, complete inside the 10, inside the 5, short of the goal line. Anderson. Clock stops again temporarily because it'll be first and goal. Chains move.
And now is a chance. You got to just spike the ball. Now you're timeout. You got to score here. It comes all about the onside kick. You got to hurry and get to your play.
Too much time. Maynard under center, first and goal. With the clock rolling and now a flag.
Spike it. Yep.
Offside. Number 99 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Remains first down.
The clock management is so critical. Every one of those seconds. As I said, you got to score and you're playing for that onside kick and you're going to need that time. I think I'm running up to that ball and spiking it and trying to preserve those seconds that have now ticked away.
In this case, the clock will start when the ball is snapped.
So first and goal, the nose of the pigskin. Maynard hands off to Anderson. Touchdown, Cal. Flag on the play.
Offside. Number 93, the defense. This penalty is declined. Touchdown, California.
14 seconds. A PAT away from being a field goal game.
Well, these big games have had some fantastic finishes through the years, and this one's going to come down after the extra point to that onside kick.
Tavecchio, the Cal kicker, has missed 5 PATs this year. This one is good. 14 seconds, 3-point game. College football's wildest night is stretching into the wee hours in most parts of the country as the 114th big game goes down to the final seconds. Where's the band?
Oh, look at the stare down. They have not flinched. They're not feeling any of this sense of urgency. And wasn't it David Shaw? Which game was that he was referring to? A pretty big onside kick that went Stanford's way, 1990. He was a redshirt freshman that year, redshirting, standing on the sidelines. Well, now he, the band, the stare down, and everybody going to be keeping a close eye here on this onside kick on a very soggy field. Tavecchio better make sure he drives this ball into the ground.
Everyone except those participating in the stare down. Eyes are on the onside kick here with 14 seconds. Cal has a timeout. Cal needs a football on the onside kick. Through it all, this is why we love college football. Giorgio Tavecchio, the Cal kicker for the onside kick. Has to go 10 yards. Fleener grabs it. Stanford football. The Cardinals should walk out of the stadium tonight with the Stanford Axe.
And awfully nice to have your 6'6" tight end go up, high point the ball, secured, does a wise thing and gets down. Outside of Cal having the one timeout left, it's going to secure that Stanford Axe stays right here in Palo Alto.
Well, the Stanford Axe is going to stay with the Stanford Cardinal. Andrew Luck hits a knee, and the 114th big game goes down to the wire, but it's the 9th-ranked Stanford Cardinal who hang on to the game and hang on to the Axe.
Not always pretty, very hard fought, very physical on both sides, and Stanford keeps their BCS hopes alive. Andrew keeps his Heisman hopes alive. David Shaw gets to keep that Axe right here in town.